Hello and welcome again to Casual Magic. Now, rather than open up any sort of product today, I actually want to show you my not so great draft cards that I got at a recent event. I had a business trip to San Diego, and actually on one of the nights they had a $10 3-pack draft, which is great because at least where I locally live it's $15, so $10 is a bargain. And it's a night before I have to fly out, so why not? And on top of it, they actually have cool little business cards like this. So I grabbed one. So if you happen to be in the area, I recommend it. The crowd was pretty casual for that night. Decent, and I had a much better time there than I have at least one of my local stores, which I won't get into. But to just briefly kind of go through what I was trying to run, first card I drafted was a Lumbering Falls, and I thought, okay, well, if all else fails I can go blue something or green something, but as it turned out, really no one was playing blue-green, and I just kept getting past quite a bit of blue-green cards, and I thought I could make a run of it, and it didn't quite work out like I wanted to. Beyond that, for rare land, an ally encampment, so that way I could try and get out hopefully some better allies and be able to cast any color that I want. Blighted Woodland if I want to search for land. Skyline Cascades, including a foil. Really, the best part about this is when it comes into the battlefield tapped, it let's see, target creature an opponent controls doesn't untap during its next controller's untap step. So if something that your opponent has is tapped, you play this on your next turn, and you can kind of lock them down. So those were blue. Beyond that, I had 5 islands, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, still 7 forests, and then just for multicolor availability, 1 swamp, 1 mountain, and 1 plains. That way I could search for them. As far as creatures go, just very quickly in kind of casting order, Salvage Drone, never really used him. Coralheim Guide, just used him basically as a chump block. Eldrazi Sky Spawner, used him as a flyer. 2 Tajiro Stalwarts. It enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana used to spend to cast it, and at least because I had some sort of multicolor options running, usually it would come in with 2 if not 3 +1/+1 counters on it. Next one, Holymar Tidecaller. When it enters the battlefield, I may return target card with Awaken from my graveyard to my hand, which I think I have 1, so that part didn't really work. But land creatures you control have flying, and since my Lumbering Falls could become a 3/3 creature, I thought maybe there's a chance that this could end up being some 3/3 flyer, but it never worked out. By the time I got this thing out, yeah, it was already too late for me. 2 Lifespring Druids, that way I could get 1 mana of any color, again to just kind of run with my multicolor theme. 1 Marasa Ranger, so whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 3 colorless and a green. If you do, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Marasa Ranger. A friend of mine played this against me, and it got out of control fairly quickly, so I thought, okay, that's great. That must be a fantastic card. It got zapped. I never got to use it. I pretty much threw it out on the field, and it lasted a turn. It was gone soon enough. A Drowner of Hope. It's a 5/5. It can get out additional Scion tokens. Never got it out. My one bomb that I got out almost every single game was this Skyrider Elf. It's X, a green, and a blue. It's flying, and then also has Converge. Skyrider Elf enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent cast on it. So I could always get my multicolors going, therefore it could come out with a decent amount of counters on it. And granted, it's a flyer, so I thought, okay, it's great. And I could swing through, and I could swing through, and I could swing through. But either it would get targeted with some sort of removal spell, or targeted with some sort of kill spell, or they would just get up some sort of flyers, just enough to chump block me and then swing through, because I had really no other answers of any other decent creatures. Now, if I could have had 3 Skyrider Elves, yeah, absolutely, I would have been rolling. But really, for this draft, no. That didn't work at all. That was a poor strategy. For instance, Swell of Growth, just to try and make something +2/+2 until end of turn. 2 Dispels, counter target instant spell. Sounds great, never drew it. Spell Shrivel, 3 in an instant. Devoid, counter target spell unless its controller plays floor. Sounds great, had it in my hand at some point, but then either didn't have anything worthwhile to cast on it, or they're casting something and they have so much freaking mana that it didn't matter. I mean, even by the end, and I'll show a picture, the guy that I played against had, from what I remember, and you'll see in the photo when I throw it up, I thought it was something like 10 mana of his own, plus he stole 3 of mine using a card of his that would put the top 4 of my cards out, and any land cards that he would get. And 3 of the 4 cards I drew were land. So he had 13 land. So something like this is completely pointless, because can he pay 4? Yeah, he can pay 8 if he wanted. You know, it's just, it was too little too late. Natural Connection, that was actually nice. That I did get to use at one point. So during one point in the game where things were actually working for me, I could put this into play as an instant before combat. Search your library for a basic land card, then put it on to the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. I could get some sort of basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then due to this separate enchantment, retreat to Coralheim. Whenever land into the battlefield, choose 1, and I chose you may tap or untap target creature, so I could lock down his big fatty. I mean, it was okay, it was great, it bought me another turn, but it didn't really help me win the game. To infuse with the elements, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast infuse the elements. That creature gains trample until the end of the turn. I got to use this. I got to make the Skyrider Elf huge, and boom, creature of a target, or a target creature with power 4 or greater, exiled. So it was completely pointless. For sorcery, Rush of Ice, I thought maybe I could do Awaken on a land. Never got a chance. I got to tap and untap a creature, but yeah, it didn't do much. Brilliant Spectrum, I got close. There was one game I was in a chance to win, and all I needed to do was draw a land card, and I failed. Third Influence, where I could gain control of a target creature. In the end, when I had this one time, I had to use it to get something that was giving him 1 life and making me lose 1 life every single turn, because it was just slowly ebbing away at me, and everything else was locked down, and that's what I had to spend it on. And then sure enough, he just kept rolling with everything else. And the last one, Bring to Light, it's great, it's rare, it sounds awesome, but it's probably $3 for a reason. It's 5 mana total to get out. Sure, it does a lot. I'm sure I'll look forward to using it in Commander, but as far as a 40 card draft deck, I'd say it's pointless, and I can understand why someone passed it to me. I mean, I would like it. I didn't have one, and I'm glad I took it. But as far as being a card that I should have put in my deck, no, that was a bad idea. For enchantments, I had this Retreat to Coralheim, which at least being able to put a land into play and being able to tap or untap a target creature, that worked out quite well. For an artifact, I did Align Hedron Network, and I never got a chance to use it. And actually, by the second games, I took it out and I replaced it with something else, and I don't even remember what I replaced it with. It didn't matter. I got my buy, and then I got a close loss, and then I got a blowout loss, and in the end, I think I had some cards left over, and then there were a few on a table, and then the other guy who opened up a pack, he felt bad for me. That's pretty much all of the commons, and I think there's a few uncommons in there that I drew. At least that was nice that they took pity on me, and I got a few extra cards out of it. Then as far as tokens, plant, an elemental, a dragon, got a plains, got another octopus. This is probably the most valuable card I got of the night. A nice, shiny, full art foil swamp. Which actually makes it kind of weird. I have two full art lands now, and they're both swamps. That's okay, I enjoy playing black, so they go into my deck. Again, then a Little Monks Reclaimer. That was one that I drafted at some point late just because, it was like, hey, foil uncommon, I don't have one at all, so why not? But yeah, it was 5 casting cost total, so I never used it. But anyways, overall, I highly recommend this place, San Diego Games and Comics. Go there when you're in San Diego. Stop by, check them out. If you happen to be like me and you have a business trip and an evening to kill, yeah, definitely stop by. Good casual environment, friendly people, good selection of stuff. So after this, I will be moving on to another video. But before I do that, I want to skip separately and show you some results of a Fat Pack opening. So just very briefly to go over what I had for a Fat Pack. My coworker had an extra one, and he said, I'll sell it to you. Just buy me some cards in exchange, and oh, by the way, I want to see what you got, because if you open up a Gideon in it, then I'm going to be really mad and want it back. And I said, alright, fine, I'll agree to open it up in front of you. Unfortunately, it meant that I didn't get to open it up on camera, so the best I could do was take a quick snapshot of the rares that I got in it. Overall, I can't say it was that bad. I did get 3 mythics, which for a Fat Pack is amazing. It's not like any of them were planeswalkers, but at least it did get me a little bit closer to trying to complete a full set. So now I'm down almost to the point of just needing to get some singles and I'll complete a set. But out of this, the Green Warden of Marasa, Quarantine Field, Sire of Stagnation, they're all decent. Couple bucks each, maybe upwards of 3. Lumbering Falls in the middle, kind of the same thing, about $3. And to be honest, actually, my coworker wanted that one and would trade. I think it was a Cinderglade for it. So, at that point, trade a $3 card for a $6 card. Absolutely. And as it turns out, later on, I got one anyway, but that's irony for you, I guess. Just saying, oh, well, I've got this card and I'm going to get rid of it. And then what happens a few days later? I get that exact same card again. Now, if only I could just load up on Planeswalkers that way. Anyways, Scatter to the Winds. For lesser ones, Nyoindal, Hugin's Insight, and Veteran War Leader. And to be honest, out of the whole group, probably the one that's the most value is Prairie Stream. So, was it an okay Fat Pack? Yes. I was pleased that I got 3 mythics out of it. That was, at least nice to kind of show off when he was watching me open up the packs. But, it wasn't necessarily, some sort of home run where I opened up, 3 different planeswalkers or three Gideons and hit the lottery. So that's at least what I have. Again, let me know how you think I did on my draft. What do you think I should have had more of or less of in the deck? Please let me know. Write it in the comments. Say if I have possibly a different strategy or maybe what colors I need to go for, because I will have another draft coming up in November, probably within a couple of weeks, and I would love as much good advice and strategy as possible to attempt to finally win. So again, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, good luck.
So something like this is completely pointless.